They say some places exist outside of time, little pockets where moments linger like dust motes in a sunbeam. For Lila, that place was called Nostalgia Nest. The drive there felt like shedding the skin of the modern world, winding through roads framed by pines, chasing a sunset that bled gold and rose across the hills. As her vintage convertible pulled up, the house seemed to breathe. A grand Victorian lady draped in ivy, her stained glass eyes glowing with a warm welcome. Clara, the innkeeper, with a smile as comforting as a familiar melody, handed her a key tied with a lavender ribbon. It felt less like a key to a room and more like a key to a story. Moments later, another traveler arrived. Ethan, with his scholarly air and a gaze full of quiet awe, stood before the same house, a leather satchel in hand, feeling the same pull of a time not his own. Lila stepped into the 1960s suite and was swept away. Vinyl records lined the shelves, and a lava lamp cast a dreamy, undulating glow. On the wall hung a faded Polaroid of a couple dancing under a willow tree. As her fingers traced their joyful embrace, a soft 1960s love ballad began to play from the retro radio, untouched, its melody filling the room like a whispered secret. Down the hall, in the 1940s room, Ethan ran his fingers over the cool keys of a vintage typewriter. He looked at a sepia photo of a soldier and a nurse in a heartfelt farewell, and just then, the typewriter keys began to clack on their own, typing a single poignant word. Wait, the house was alive, filled with the echoes of love stories past, waiting for a new one to begin. That evening, the grand library, with its towering shelves and the scent of old paper and leather, became their meeting point. Lila was drawn to a leather-bound book of poetry, its pages whispering of forgotten romances. As she reached for it, another hand met hers. It was Ethan. He smiled, a spark of recognition in his eyes as if they'd met in another life. "I think this one was waiting for you," he said, his voice as warm as the crackling fire beside them. They sat together, lost in conversation, sharing stories under the watchful gaze of the books that lined the walls. As they talked, a book on a high shelf gently slid out, revealing a hidden inscription behind it: "Love finds a way through time and space." They looked at each other, a shared unspoken understanding passing between them. The magic of the house was no longer just a feeling. It was real, and it was weaving them together. The next day was a fairy tale painted in golden light. They strolled through the gardens where flowers bloomed in impossible colors, and time seemed to slow with every step. They found the old willow tree from the Polaroid in Lila's room, and, as if guided by an unseen hand, began to dance beneath its branches, mirroring the couple from the past. Later, in the attic, surrounded by trunks of forgotten treasures, Ethan found a vintage film projector. As they threaded an old film reel, the attic transformed. The projected image wasn't of a film, but of them, Lila and Ethan, in black and white, laughing and dancing in that very garden, dressed in clothes from a bygone era. They were watching a memory that hadn't happened yet, or perhaps one that had happened long ago. As the weekend drew to a close, they stood on the porch, watching the same golden sun dip below the hills. The air was filled with a sweet, melancholic magic. Ethan took Lila's hand. "This place, it's not just a house," he said softly. "It's a keeper of stories." Lila looked at their joined hands and then into his eyes. "And I think it just helped us write our own," she replied. The line between past, present, and future had blurred, leaving only the certainty of their connection. As they leaned in, the fireflies in the garden began to glow, their lights blinking in unison, like tiny stars celebrating a love that had finally found its moment, right here at Nostalgia Nest. Thank you so much for joining us on this magical journey. If you believe in the kind of love that transcends time, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. See you next time.